You've probably written thousands of lines of code, shipped tons of features, fixed countless bugs. You're good at what you do, maybe even great, but you're still mid-level. Same title you had maybe 5 years ago. Today, I'm going to tell you exactly why you're stuck, and I promise you, it's not what you think. In fact, one of the things I'm going to tell you is going to sound so completely backwards, but once you hear it, everything else will make complete sense. I've analyzed over 100 backend engineers who got stuck at mid-level for 5, 10, 15 years or more, and I found this. The ones who stay stuck, they're almost always doing one of these things. So, let's get into it. Reason number 1, the silent killer. Here's something nobody ever told you about being a backend engineer. Your best work might be killing your career. Now, I know this can sound crazy, but hear me out. Let me tell you about Frank. Frank spent 4 months rebuilding a notification system at his old company. The old system crashed every few weeks and they lost orders. Frank's new system, it was fast and it was reliable. He thought, this is my time for a promotion. Well, promotion time came and he got passed over. Because of this, Frank was furious. He confronted his manager and his manager paused, then said something that really changed everything. He said, yeah, the project was successful, but what did you do? What? Frank spent so much time working on this project, trying to display that he was a senior, and he was doing that the entire time. However, that was a silent career killer for him. And it's probably been destroying you maybe for a couple years now. Think about what you actually do as a backend engineer. You make databases faster, right? You fix memory leaks. You prevent crashes to make sure that they never happen in the first place. You might be optimizing APIs. You refactor code that nobody looks at because you know it's making the code better. All of it invisible. A front-end engineer will build a button. Everyone sees it. A product manager launches a new feature. Everyone talks about it. A designer might create a beautiful interface and the CEO might share it online. But you make things that already work better. And when things work better, nobody notices because they expect it. After 5 years, you've probably prevented dozens of disasters, saved the company thousands of dollars. You might have made the customers even happier by not wasting their time on responses, but nobody knows because you never told them. If your manager doesn't know you did something, it's the same as if you didn't do it in the eyes of a promotion. Let me show you what I mean. You improved an API response time from 500 milliseconds to maybe 100 milliseconds. That's legitimately impressive. But when you tell your manager, I made the API 5 times faster, here's what they hear. I did some technical thing today, or I did my job today. They say cool and maybe forget about it. But what if you said this instead? You know how customers were complaining about how checkout felt slow? Well, I fixed that. Checkout now loads under 1 second. Based on our data, that slow checkout was causing about 15% of people to abandon their cart. We process about 10,000 checkouts a month. So that's 1,500 lost orders. At an average order value of $40, we're losing about $60,000 a month, and this fix was a $720,000 annual problem. Same work, completely different story. One sounds like you optimized code. The other sounds like you saved the company $750,000. After 5 years of great technical work, nobody knows what you've actually accomplished because you describe it in technical terms that mean almost nothing to most people. And those people might be the one deciding your promotion. And I know what you're thinking. This always gets brought up, but that's not fair. They should understand technical work. You're right. You're so right. It's not fair. But guess what? Fair doesn't mean you'll get promoted. Visibility gets you promoted. Here's what to do starting this week. Start keeping what I call a brag list, not just a list of products, a list of impact. For every significant thing you complete, write it down. What problem did this solve? Who did it help? What would have happened if you didn't do it? How much money did it save or make? Literally, do this for 3 months. Then look at the document and you'll be shocked by how much impact you've actually had. Now, reason number 2 is called the ticket trap. Okay, so here's another trap that kept you stuck for 5 years. And most mid-level engineers don't even realize they're in it. And this is this is what I call the professional ticket closer. Every day, you open Jira, you pick a ticket, you build what it says, you close a ticket, you pick another ticket. You've done this now for 5 years on repeat. And you've gotten really, really good at it. You're fast, you're reliable, you probably close more tickets than anyone else on your team. Congratulations, you're the best mid-level engineer in the building. and you will never get promoted. Let me tell you why. I worked with an engineer named Maria. She's been a mid-level for 7 years. Her ticket close metrics was off the chart. She crushed her sprint goals every single time, but she kept getting passed on for promotions. Then one quarter, something changed. Maria stopped picking up tickets 100% of the time. Well, not like literally 100%, but she started spending half her time doing something else. She noticed that the customer support team was drowning in their own, support tickets. They had hundreds of tickets coming in every week. She started looking at the data and she found something quite interesting. About 40% of the support tickets were about like the same 3 issues that just kept showing up over and over again. The same problems that were making customers get frustrated. Support was simply overwhelmed. But nobody was fixing the root problem. They were just fixing, the top level problem for each customer. So Maria did something different. She didn't wait for someone else to create her a ticket. She didn't ask for permission. She just wrote a document. The document explained the 3 issues, showed the data on how they come up with it, the estimated time on how much it would take to fix the root problem, and the proposed technical solutions. She walked over to her manager and said, I found something. We're wasting about 200 hours of support time every month fixing these 3 problems. That's $12,000 in support costs, not counting the customers we're probably losing. I think I should spend the next month fixing these 3 items. After implementation, 6 months later, Maria literally got promoted to senior engineer. Here's what changed in that story. For 5 years, Maria has been solving assigned problems. Then she started finding real problems that were not yet assigned. See, anyone can execute a ticket. Junior engineers do it, AI does it, mid-level does it, even senior engineers do it. But it's not what gets you promoted, right? Ticket closing is your normal job. So when you get hired as a mid-level and you start closing tickets, that's what's expected. What gets you promoted is showing that you understand what actually needs to be built and you're capable of bringing that to, the company to fix it. After 5 years of closing tickets, you've trained yourself to be reactive. Wait for an assignment, execute, repeat. But senior plus engineers, they're proactive. They look around and say, what can we make better? And this is scary because tickets are comfortable. Tickets have clear requirements, clear acceptance criteria, a clear definition of done. You build it, it works, it's done. But finding problems, that's ambiguous. There's no ticket telling you, to find this problem. No one assigned it to you. What if you're wrong? What if it's not a big deal? What if your manager doesn't care? These are all legitimate fears. But guess what? This is exactly what separates mid-level from senior and on. Senior engineers operate in this level. They find problems that nobody really asked for. They propose solutions that nobody really told them to build. They have opinions on what the team should work on. So here's how you can start. This week, stop for just 1 hour. 1 hour. Don't pick up a ticket. And instead, ask yourself this question. What keeps breaking that we can fix? What do customers keep complaining about? What makes other engineers on our team frustrated? Where is our team velocity wasting time? Pick one thing. Spend a few hours investigating it. Look at the data. Talk to people. Figure out what the real problem is and what it takes to fix it. Then write a simple document. 1 page. Explain the problem, why it matters, and what you think should be done. Show it to your manager and say, I found something that I think we should work on. What do you think? Maybe they say no. That's fine. You learned something. But maybe they say yes. And suddenly you're not just closing tickets, you're shaping what the team is working on. Reason number 3, I'm calling the skill paradox. All right. This one's going to completely flip what you think about getting promoted. But you need to hear it. After 5 years, you're probably one of the best coders on your team. And that's exactly why you're stuck. I know that can kind of sound insane, but I'm going to tell you a story that proves this. So let me tell you about 2 different engineers. There's Jake and Marcus. They work on the same team. Jake has been a mid-level engineer for 6 years. He was brilliant. His code was beautiful. It was clean, efficient. He knew the entire code base probably better than anybody, at least equal to people who have been there for a long time. He was the person that people recently have came to and they have a hard technical problem. Jake was adding features constantly. Every sprint, he would ship more code than anyone else on the team. He was proud of this. And if you're Jake, you should be proud too. Marcus, on the other hand, has been a mid-engineer for about 4 years at the same company. He was good, probably not as good as Jake. If you gave Jake and Marcus the same coding problem, Jake would probably solve it faster. But they were both decent, good engineers. But then something, I don't know if strange is the right word, but Marcus got promoted and Jake didn't. But here's where it gets really interesting. Want to know what Marcus did in the 6 months before his promotion? He learned system design and he deleted code. He actually deleted a lot of code. Not added code, deleted code. Marcus had noticed something. The code base had grown to about 200,000 lines of code. A lot of this was because AI was, pushing and creating a lot of code that wasn't necessary, but a huge chunk of it was also legacy code that nobody used anymore. Old features that had been replaced, deprecated API endpoints that were still running, redundant systems that did the same thing as the newer systems. All of this code was slowing everything down. It made the code base confusing for new engineers. It made deployments slower. It made the system harder to debug, but nobody wanted to touch that thing. It was kind of following the advice of if it works, don't touch it kind of thing. Marcus removed over, I think it was 10,000 lines. So about 5% of the entire code base. And you know what happened? From that 10% of reduction of code, deployments got 40% faster. The entire engineering team felt it. The code base was suddenly, lighter, cleaner, easier to work with. Instead of working on a single feature, he impacted the velocity of the entire team. And that's what it is. And let that sink in. He didn't just do one thing and close the ticket. He did something that increased the entire velocity of the entire team. His change impacted everyone. This month, pick one thing that makes everyone else better on your team. Or that's deleting code so people don't have to look through it. Write documentation that helps, break down a complex part of your system. Mentor a junior engineer for 1 hour a week. Give a presentation that teaches your team something valuable. Build a tool that makes everyone's job easier. All you have to do is one thing. Make sure it's something that improves the entire team, not just your individual output. It's going to feel uncomfortable because you spent probably years optimizing for individual productivity. But that discomfort you have means you're finally growing towards becoming a senior engineer. Just remember that promotion isn't a reward for writing more code. It's proof that you can make a system, you can make teams, and you can make the entire architecture of something better. Reason number 4, it's what you're terrified of. Okay, so let's talk about the thing you've been avoiding for multiple years. The thing that makes you uncomfortable just thinking about it. Kind of starts off, I'm making it sound like it's a monster, but it's people. You became a backend engineer because you like working with systems, you like working with computers. That's not a people thing, right? Code is logical, it's predictable. If it doesn't work, you debug it and fix it. People are messy. They're the opposite of coding, right? They're unpredictable. They're emotional. There's no clear answer. There's no debug log. So for years, you avoided the people side of engineering. And that's exactly one reason why you may be stuck. Let me give you some examples of what I mean. A front-end team and your team disagree about how an API should work. You could get involved, help resolve it, but instead, you stay out of it. It's not my problem. We'll let the managers or somebody else figure it out on the team. Or a junior engineer is struggling with something that you could help them with, but you don't offer because I'm not a manager or I'm just too busy. Maybe there's a big decision that needs to be made about 2 different technical directions. Both approaches are valid. Neither one is really better than the other. You could dig in, talk to people, help make a call, but you don't because it's not a clear cut and you'd rather work on something with more of a definitive answer. For 5 years, you've done this. You found ways to avoid all the messy people stuff and just focus only and solely on your technical work. And every time you do this, you're telling your team, you're telling your manager, I'm not ready to move from my spot. Because all that messy people stuff, that's the job of a senior engineer and higher. And I'm not just talking about, talking and working with ex-coworkers. I was literally just talking with an ex-coworker, Tom. He was a mid-level engineer for a long time. He was super technical, avoided people stuff at all costs. Then his manager told him he needed to show more leadership. If you wanted to become more of a leadership role, you got to show more leadership. Tom always thought leadership meant leading technical projects, right? Like being an architect, being a tech lead. So he volunteered to lead a big database migration. The technical work was fine, but Tom handled the people side not as good as the technical side, we'll say. He didn't tell the front-end team the migration would affect them until the last minute, and they were pretty furious. He didn't include, QA and testing in the planning. They found out right before launch. They were just overall overwhelmed by the decisions he was making. So another senior engineer disagreed with Tom's approach and started complaining to everyone else. Tom ignored that senior engineer, and it just wasn't going well, right? So his manager had to step in a couple different times to fix the things that Tom broke. And a simple way of thinking about it is just the more senior you get, the more people are going to be involved in your everyday decisions. And that means like coordinating across teams, mentoring, influencing people who don't report to you, navigating organizational dynamics, maybe even building relationships. You can't avoid it. You have to face it. But you're probably thinking, I don't want to work with people. That's why I became an engineer. I mean, so many engineers are like introverted. I get it. I really do. I get it. But here's the reality. If software is a team sport, if you want to be stuck at mid-level forever, keep doing what you're doing. But if you want to get outside and grow, you have to get outside your comfort zone. Now, that doesn't mean you have to be extroverted or naturally social. You just have to care about people and be willing to engage. Some of the best senior engineers I know are introverts who hate small talk, but they're good people to work with because they listen to understand, not to just simply respond. They care about helping other engineers succeed. They take time to explain their technical decisions. They work to find solutions that work for everyone. And they pay attention to what's happening beyond just their immediate work. They're always learning and trying to help. And that's it. You don't need to be like a people person. You just need to be someone who engages with people as part of their job. Now, reason number 5 is the backwards approach that actually works. Okay, here's the last thing you've been doing to get stuck at mid-level, and this one might make you angry. You've been waiting for your manager to recognize your hard work, waiting for your team, waiting for your turn, waiting to be promoted. And that waiting, that's exactly why you're still at the level you're at right now. Let me tell you what happened to me. I was mid-level for 5 years. I was doing good work, hitting all my goals. I thought I'd paid my dues, and it's finally time for me to get promoted. I went to my manager and said, I've shipped a lot of features. I think I'm ready for a promotion. Kind of told him about everything I've worked on in the past year or two. My manager looked at me and said, you're doing great as a mid-level engineer, but I don't see you doing any of the work of a senior level. I was confused. Like, how am I supposed to do senior level work if they haven't promoted me yet and I was a mid-level engineer? And my manager said that's not how it works, right? You need to start doing the work first as a senior engineer, and then you get promoted to match the work you've put in. And I realized something then that really changed everything for me. I've been waiting 5 years for permission that was never coming. Leadership, everything doesn't, involve a title. This was one of my biggest mistakes. I thought the path was, a linear line, right? It was just do mid-level work really well, wait long enough, get promoted, start doing senior level work. But that mindset is backwards. The actual path is do mid-level work well, start doing some senior level work, get promoted because you're displaying that you can do the senior level work, and then start doing the senior level work full time. You don't get promoted and then you start doing the new job you're chasing. You start doing the new job you're chasing and then you get promoted. And before you disagree, think about it from your manager's perspective. You get hired to do mid-level work. If you do mid-level work well, that's what you were hired to do, right? They're not hiring people to do what they want you to do at a poor level. They want you to do it at a good level. And if you're doing it at a good level, well, then you just met expectations. After 5 years of waiting, you need to understand that nobody is going to tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, Eric, you're ready. Let's move you up to a senior engineer. If you want to be promoted to senior, you need to start doing some of this stuff now. Not all of it. You don't have to do everything I displayed here. And you don't have to do it perfectly. You just need to start. Let's say you pick mentoring, right? You find a junior engineer on your team, tell your manager, I'd like to start mentoring. I'll spend 1 hour a week helping them improve. You do that for 3 months. You document the impact. You show how that junior engineer improved. Then maybe pick another thing. Maybe write a design document for your next project, but make it really good. Share it with others on your team so they understand what you're building. Do that consistently. Now you have evidence, real evidence that you can operate at the next level. Then you start going to your manager and say, hey, over the past year, I've kind of been working on, developing my senior engineering skills. I've mentored, blank, and they've improved significantly. I've written, design documents for 3 major projects. I have helped architect, this project over here. And I think I'm ready for the senior promotion. What do you think? At least that gets you on the right starting point of talking, right? Like your manager now has evidence. They've seen you do senior level work. The promotion process is becoming more obvious. You really only have 2 choices. Like choice 1, keep waiting for someone to promote you out of the goodness of their heart and keep doing the same work really, really good and keep hoping and watch you become mid-level for 6, 7, 8, 10 years. Or you can choose choice 2, spend 6 months doing senior level work, prove you can handle it really well, get promoted. Which one sounds better to you? Also, one more thing. Some people worry, what if I do all this extra work and don't get promoted? I just wasted my time. Here's my answer. If you consistently do senior level work for 6 to 12 months and don't get promoted or don't get recognized, you've learned something. Either your manager doesn't see what you're doing, make it more visible, or your company doesn't have a real future or path for you. Maybe it's time to leave. But either way, you've developed new skills, you've expanded your capabilities. That's never wasted time. Those skills will transfer to your next job where they may recognize and pay you for what you're worth. Until next time.